Welcome to BRICS Insights. Get ready for an in-depth analysis of the BRICS nations. In this video, we'll explore their economic growth potential, their unique challenges as emerging economies, how they shape the global landscape, and, most importantly, whether BRICS is competent enough to surpass the mighty G7 developed nations. Let's find out. But before we delve into the details, let's take a closer look at where BRICS nations stand in terms of the Human Development Index prepared by United Nations Development Program. Russia ranks 52, which is the highest among all BRICS nations. It is followed by China, ranking 79. Then comes Brazil, ranking 87. South Africa follows at 109. And last but not least, India ranks 132, which is the lowest rank among all BRICS nations. When we talk about G7 nations, they all rank in the top 30s, which is significantly higher than BRICS. But the story doesn't end here. When we compare the top 10 countries by their nominal GDP, it's once again dominated by G7 nations, with only 3 BRICS nations managing to secure their place on this list: China, India, and Russia. But hey, hang on a second, did you notice that? Among the countries on that GDP list, India stands out as the only nation with the fastest growth rate, a remarkable 7%. The rest have yet to cross the 5% mark. This is happening while the world grapples with chaos, recovering from pandemic-time recession, economic crises due to inflation, and ongoing conflicts like the Ukraine-Russia war. As if that wasn't enough, recent events like the Hamas attack on Israel seem to add fuel to the fire. Is evil casting its shadow over the world? Well, here's where we can draw lessons from BRICS nations, particularly India. India managed to conquer both the pandemic and inflation smoothly and smartly. Through adept dialogue and diplomacy, India has maintained a neutral position, untouched by the ongoing wars. In contrast, the USA is throwing dollars into proxy wars with Russia in the name of peace, but has yet to achieve lasting peace. Meanwhile, India is reaching new heights in space exploration. India's accomplishment of becoming the first country to soft land on the south pole of the moon as part of the Chandrayaan-3 mission further illustrates the nation's growing capabilities and contributions. In a forward-looking move, India and Brazil joined hands to discuss a joint biofuel strategy. Brazil, being the leading producer of sugarcane, boasts one of the largest ethanol industries globally. A significant portion of cars in the country can run on 100% biofuel made from sugarcane or corn. Brazil's unique flex fuel technology allows cars to run on various ethanol, gasoline blends, including 100% ethanol. This collaboration between India and Brazil not only underscores the commitment of the BRICS group to addressing global challenges, but also demonstrates the potential for partnerships between emerging economies to drive positive change on the world stage. Now, the question is, how will Russia and China take advantage of BRICS? The answer lies in discussions about BRICS nations developing a new currency that could potentially rival the US dollar as the global reserve standard. This growing interest in a new global currency comes in response to the continued weaponization of the US dollar through sanctions and trade wars. Many countries are seeking greater independence from the US financial system. In 2021, Saudi Arabia and Russia signed a military cooperation agreement, signaling that the United States was no longer the sole protector of the Saudi kingdom. Moreover, at the 2022 BRICS summit, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that the bloc was working to create an international reserve currency. It is speculated that the BRICS currency will be backed by gold, which would mark a historic return to the gold standard and bring stability to the new currency. According to the IMF World Gold Council, the first 2 months of this year saw significant gold purchases from Singapore, 51.4 tons, Turkey, 45.5 tons, China, 39.8 tons, Russia, 31.1 tons, and India, 2.8 tons. These acquisitions seem to indicate that BRICS countries are accumulating gold in preparation for their new currency. Simultaneously, there is a declining share of US dollars held by central banks, according to the IMF currency composition of official foreign exchange reserves. Countries are positioning themselves for a new international system. For decades, the United States has been considered the global hegemon. However, BRICS nations now account for more than 40% of the world's population and have an aggregated global GDP of 31.5%, surpassing the G7's GDP of 30.7%. It's conceivable to envision BRICS nations becoming entirely self-sufficient, trading among themselves without relying on the United States. This may well align with China's plan, given the extent of its Belt and Road Initiative, the largest infrastructure development project in history, which aims to connect Asia and Africa, Europe and South America. The United States is noticeably excluded. Jokes apart, the 15th annual BRICS Summit concluded in Johannesburg, South Africa, with a remarkable move to expand BRICS by welcoming 6 new nations: Saudi Arabia, the U.A.E., Egypt, Ethiopia, Argentina, and of course, the USA's most favorite country, Iran. These nations are set to become official members of BRICS from 2024, turning BRICS into BRICS Plus. How these additional nations will contribute to BRICS is a story for another time. Now, let's shed some light on the current status of G7 nations. Germany's economy stagnated in the second quarter from the previous 3 months, showing no sign of recovery from a winter recession and solidifying its position as one of the world's weakest major economies. A similar case can be seen in Japan, where the aging population has contributed to an economy that has also stagnated. Earlier this year, France was engulfed by protests, and now a plague of bedbugs has hit Paris and other French cities. Asking about their economy is now almost a sin. Then comes the UK, whose Prime Minister Rishi Sunak himself warned about UK economy could be in recession next year as stubbornly high inflation pushes interest rates to more than 5% before the next general election. Italy's economy also shrinks in the latest quarter, casting a shadow over its outlook. In Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, currently facing a series of embarrassing moments, has put the country in an awkward position, standing together with G7 nations, yet feeling somewhat isolated. Last but not least, the USA, the richest country in terms of GDP, is also feeling the impact of the global recession. In the short term, the US dollar will likely maintain its dominant position in the international monetary system due to the inertia of global dollar trading volumes and well-established habits of international transactions. However, the trend of a weakened US dollar hegemony may accelerate in phases as the global political and economic landscape continues to undergo continuous changes. Overall, the shift in the US dollar's dominant position will not happen overnight. De-dollarization will be a long-term evolutionary process. Now, let's return to our original question. Will BRICS surpass G7 nations in the upcoming years? From an economic standpoint, the current global de-dollarization trend appears to be an inevitable process. Recent events have shifted us from a unipolar world to a multipolar scenario, and BRICS plays a pivotal role in shaping both economies and geopolitics. Thank you once again for joining us today. We are curious to know which country has captured your attention the most and your views about that particular country. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment box below. If you're new to our channel, please don't forget to subscribe. We look forward to sharing more insights in our upcoming videos. Stay tuned and see you next time on BRICS Insights.